Okay. Um, what I'm about to get into is not something that you can find in the Bible. It's just a personal belief, and it's based off of the Bible and based off of life. For many years, I've always wondered. I mean, if God knows who's going to be in heaven, who's going to be in hell, from before the earth was ever even made, then why are we here? Why do we have to go through this? And I've asked preachers, I've asked people who were big in the church, and they've always given me the same answer. We're here to glorify God. I'm sorry, but that never made any sense to me. Um, it's silly. It's silly to think that God is making us go through all this just so He can be glorified. Um, is it possible? Sure, it's possible. I'm not going to say it's impossible for that to be the meaning of life, but when you hear people say, I just can't believe in God because, I see people getting, babies getting taken, they're getting raped, people die in car crashes every day, little babies dying of cancer, horrible deaths. And they say, well, if God was real, then how could He allow this? And people, you need to understand that in order to have free will, in order for us to be totally free to where we're not being directed by God, we have to have free will. In order to have free will, you have to accept the consequences that free will comes with. Now, He gave us perfect lives in the beginning, lives, Adam and Eve. He took Adam and Eve, He put them in the garden. He created them perfect. Everything around them was perfect. But until they sinned, they had only God's word as to how great they had it. Okay, so as a parent who have kids, you tell your kids over and over again that something's bad for them. Don't do this or don't do that. But they do it almost every time without fail. I remember being a kid, I remember listening to my dad and hearing him say things and just be like, dude, you're crazy. I'm not that person. I'm not going to do that. Well, guess what? My dad was right. Um, so in order to understand free will, you have to understand what comes with it. You can't have free will without the repercussions that come with it. You can't have perfection in your life with free will. It's it's not possible. Okay, so you may be a good person, but your neighbor may not be. In order for you both to have free will, his will says he's going to come over and do something bad, whether it be slice your tires or kidnap your child or rape your child. Sorry to even say that stuff. I think it's the most disgusting thing ever. That's why I'm using it as an example. Um, and your free will may be trying to help people or just live your life, right? Um, but my point is that you can't have perfection with free will because everybody's will is different. And that's what we wanted from the beginning was free will. And God wanted us to have free will. God wanted us to choose Him ourselves. Okay? So let's go back to creation. Let's go back to why did Satan go to Eve to trick her, to beguile her? My belief is because Adam watched God create things in the garden. Okay, so he had a little more stronger understanding of what was going on and what God was about, where Eve was not only taking God's word for it, but was taking Adam's word for it as well as how good things are. So Satan went to at the time, as far as the topic is, went to the weaker of the two vessels, which was Eve, because she didn't see any of that. Okay, so you as a woman or man, if someone tells you something, how much truth do you put behind it? How much confidence do you have that what they're telling you is 100% true, unless you experience it yourself? So when they came unto Adam, and Adam realized that Eve had taken a bite of the fruit. It was not an apple. It was the forbidden fruit. He realized she was going to die, and he loved her. And maybe he was beguiled as well, or maybe he took a bite because, you know what? I know you're going to die, so I'm going to die along with you. Either way it could have been. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I think it's one of the greater love stories in the Bible that Adam decided, you know what, you're going to die. So whatever you got to do to her, you got to do to me too. Now, that being said with everything, okay, sin entered the world, right? Okay, so what's the meaning of life? Why are we here? God knows we're going to be there or not. Then why do we even have to go through all this? Okay. Because we can't just take God's word for it. When we get to heaven, when we were created perfect in heaven, or when we were created perfect in the beginning, they went against him. 1/3 of the angels in heaven went against him. All right? Because they didn't know how good they had it. Now, when we get to heaven, we'll experience sickness, death, pain, sorrow, hunger, every kind of bad feeling on this planet. We'll experience it all. Now, if when we get to heaven, we had not experienced any of that, we'd still have doubt. God didn't want a bunch of robots in heaven. He wanted people who truly chose him and will truly be there, heart, body, and soul. And in order to do that, we have to know for ourselves how good we have it and how good everything is. Because without living this life, we would not have known. So that's my take on why we're here. Doesn't mean I'm right. I just think it makes more sense than we're here to glorify God. Because honestly, I really don't think there's much glorifying God down here. I know it makes him happy that we choose him, but the Bible's also pretty clear on that he calls us, we don't call on him. So the glorify God thing for me is way out the window. I honestly believe we are here for our own good. We are here living this life so we understand what we have in heaven, and that we will never surrender that ever again. That is 100% ours forever, with no doubt in our minds who is great and who is all loving. That being said, if you'd like, please subscribe, share the video, like the video. Like I said, I'm not a prophet or anything. This is just my belief. So leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Hopefully it gets across to some of you, and maybe we'll get some. Matter of fact, if you have another view, please, if you make a video, post the link in the comments, and I'll check it out. Thanks. God bless.